Hi there, Dominic the CX guy. Welcome back to the channel. Or if you haven't been here before, feel welcomed. This is the place where we discuss Zendesk, everything Zendesk. Again, my name is Dominic. I'm a Zendesk consultant. I've been one for the past 8 years. I have been a Zendesk partner for the past 2 years. I have been subcontracted by Zendesk to work on various projects, and the focus of today is continuing the discussion about Zendesk setups. If you remember from yesterday, the lesson about people setup, where we discussed how to set up everything around your customer base and your staff. So yesterday was quite a long lesson. And yeah, we finally got into Zendesk and how to do things, how to set up things. I showed you how to set up various various flows around the people area, so your end users and your agents. And so I also gave you some homework. I don't know if you had time to do it. Well, it doesn't really matter. I hope that makes sense to you and it helped. Today we're going to continue our discussion about Zendesk setup from scratch, and we're going to discuss ticketing. So everything around ticketing and data collection. So I know. Yesterday's lesson was quite long. It's 1 hour. It was 1 hour and 40 something minutes. So I know that's a lot. However, these are how should I should call them. These are real life sessions. So this is a recording, which is very much reflective of how a setup and a meeting about setting up your Zendesk would look like. It's very similar to what we're discussing here and what I am presenting here. The only difference between what is being discussed today and let's say the next time we meet or when we meet is the fact that, well, obviously I'm going to have someone to talk to. I'm not just going to talk by myself, but I'm also going to be able to have some real life examples about your business and about how it functions. Okay, so before we begin, consider subscribing from below. Comment if you want to see some special content, because yeah, it really helps. It would really help the algorithm. It would really help the algorithm, and yeah, it will also help my dreams of becoming a YouTuber. Well, not dreams, but well, it helps with this what I'm doing right now. Right. So I'm going to, if you don't know how this works, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you a lot of stuff. I hope you have something to write stuff down, or if not, just pause the video and go into Zendesk and do exactly what I'm doing to familiarize yourself with the platform and set things up accordingly. We talk about things 2, 3, 5 times, as many times as it is needed, and we execute it only once because we want to be smart about it. We don't necessarily want to have unproductive work of setting things up and then going back and having to redo them a number of times because we haven't necessarily discussed all the details. However, yes, for you, if you're just starting out, go ahead, try it out. It's especially if you're just setting it up, you won't break anything, and you won't necessarily affect any existing flows. So nothing that is currently running, for example, live, is going to be affected because so you're lucky to be doing things properly and doing everything by the book, which this is a proven methodology that I've used while working at Zendesk. And I've also added my special touch of my 8 years experience of working as a Zendesk consultant. All right, so let me share my screen so I can show you where we are in terms of the setup. Again, as I mentioned, today's lesson, I didn't mention it. I'm mentioning it right now. It's going to be long. It's longer than the one from yesterday. And I'm not going to apologize, but you have to understand that it's 8 years of experience and everything that I've gathered while working at Zendesk compressed into 2-hour meetings or 2-hour recording sessions, which is it's not really, it doesn't even cover everything. It just covers some of the stuff because you can't possibly cover everything. and also keep someone's interest up, because I don't have any video editing, it's yeah, quite hard to keep someone's interest. So far, it has to be someone who's dedicated to setting up their Zendesk. So where we are right now, we are currently here in ticketing. So this is going to be considerably longer. Probably this usually requires 2 sessions. It also depends on your company size, but um, I'm going to make this into 2 lessons, so part 1 and part 2, because there's going to be quite a lot to discuss, and I'm going to go over what exactly, but I'm going to pause this video and stop it after 1 hour and something, because maybe 1 hour and a half, and then we continue tomorrow, because yeah, it would be testing people's patience to make them be in the same watch the same record, or watch one recording, which is 3 hours long. I'm still getting the hang of this YouTube thing, so I know it's long, and I know it's probably um, boring, but whatever. It's a job which is meticulous, and if you do it well, it's you can have amazing turnovers, and you can save your company a lot of money, and you can well, I've said enough. So be efficient and make make it like save money for the company, which is awesome. So in terms of the ticketing setup, um, we are going to start by discussing, just like in the previous lesson, to discuss a deck, like a slide deck, and then we're going to move into Zendesk, and then there's also a configuration workbook where we keep everything documented, and essentially that's your homework to add whatever your changes you're making in Zendesk. So again, don't let me say it this way. So I'm a firm believer in doing and learning by doing. So don't worry because you're just starting out. Don't worry to do things in Zendesk. It's important to do them after you've had your training and you watch this video. And after we finish the setup, we also have collaborative configuration sessions where you tell me like, okay, I've set this up. Does it work? Is it set up correctly? You explain to me why you want or what you wanted to do and why you wanted to do it, and then we see if it's working accordingly. We test it together. Also, you can also be aware that you are able to skip these lessons altogether. I can do this for you. You don't even have to worry. You just do the discovery phase with me, and then you just whatever, you don't care. However, this is me trying to empower you to have to have the possibility for yourself to be autonomous in the future and be able to make changes by yourself and not be dependent on a consultant constantly. But you can definitely have me, we can sign a maintenance for time and materials, or a fixed number of hours per month. That's fine. I can be there for you or someone in my team. So not to worry, but I just felt I needed to make that obvious. All right, so coming back to my shared screen here. Let's start. So so we are here. We had yesterday the people setup, had the general walkthrough. Not going to go over that right now, but yes, let's continue our lesson. All right, so our slide deck, beloved slide deck. So today we're having ticket design. It's a design phase workshop. And this, it's going to be me and my colleague Paul. He's, oh, sorry. And so this would be us. What the hell is this? Why is this running like that? This mouse is running, and I'm not very good with Google Slides. I don't know why. Alrighty. So moving on, the agenda for today is going to be, duration 1 hour and a half. It requires 2 sessions, as I mentioned. The objectives would be to be able to identify the ticket settings within Zendesk and what tools will enable your agents to deal with your customers, and everything to do with data collection. Right. So what information do we need to collect from your users in order to yeah, to make it easy for agents to be able to support them. So the minimum information that the agents need to support your customers, and then what the, let's say, ideal scenarios are to collect data related to your ticket types and obviously your customers. So what we're going to discuss today is language and dynamic content, ticket forms and ticket fields, conditional fields as well, views, macros, ticket settings, and I think we also have tags here. All right. So continuing, this is the project plan, the timeline where we are. So yesterday, again, we had the people design. Today, we're having the ticket design where we, discuss in 2 sessions. You're going to have an internal review as well, where you discuss this internally. You start doing setups for ticket for everything ticket related are by yourself as well. And then there's also a follow-up for design evaluation where we go over what you've set up and the intent behind it, and then we test it and we see if it works accordingly and we tweak it until you're happy with it. So this is where we are right now. Continuing, so the approach, as I mentioned a bit earlier, it's going to be the deck. So this is exactly what we're looking at, and then we're going to have we're going to hop into the system. We take a look at how to set things up, and then we go to the configuration workbook where the homework is, so you can start doing collecting whatever you're going to be setting up inside a document, which I have shared with you. It's right here. We're going to jump into it. Alrighty, so let's Zendesk it. Here we go. Fasten your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so first things first, let's discuss the languages and dynamic content. So you always have to keep in mind that your customers are happier if you support them in their native language. So they have a positive. They are more inclined to appreciate your effort in offering them support in their native language rather than having a stale English only type of customer service. That's not necessarily a problem, but if you want to encourage users to be more satisfied with the services that you provide, always consider offering support in users' native language. You can let the user select their language. Let's be a little bit more inclusive here. Let the user select their own language. So there is a language a user selects from the help center will automatically carry over to the ticket form. So once you use, for example, the guide or the help center, as it used to be called, or the web portal, it used to be called when I started out with Zendesk, and before anyone was alive. So that's they have their profile in there, and they can choose the language that they want to be supported in. Another way is to a user can log in and set their preferred language from the profile section. Just what I mentioned, and you could add a custom drop-down field to the ticket form and tie it to the user's language. So this is if you use field forms in Zendesk and you use them in Guide, for example, to be user-facing, because this is also very important for you, for example, to collect information about your users. You want them to whether it's B2B customers or B2C customers, you want to allow them the possibility to select the language that they want to be supported in, because sometimes it happens, right, that when you travel, you're going to be maybe traveling to Germany, and your IP is going to be recognized as being from Germany, but you don't want to have support in German. Maybe you want to have it in English, or you want to have it in Finnish, or whatever language that you want to be offered support in. And it is advisable to have an extra step to ask users what language they want to be responded in. You can also keep in mind that we also use a automatic detection of the user's language. Our system is automatically detecting the language from email requests and will update new user profiles accordingly, right? So there's an AI in Zendesk that works around the clock and recognizes the language that the user has written in, and it using this AI, which is passing through, I hope, no, you're not going to shoot me if I'm wrong, but we do pass it through Google Translate, and we have a detection. There's also other ways of detecting the language, but yeah, so we detect the language, and when we, yeah, the system automatically sets it in the user's profile. There are edge cases when somebody, for example, reaches out in English, but then they want their, they, for example, submit the request from a German IP, and maybe their browser is in German, and then the system would, using a form, for example, and then the user's language is being picked up as German. But that's not necessarily a common case, but it does happen. So that's why it's good to have that prerequisite, or to have this extra layer of assuring yourself that you're providing support in the correct language. Then another way to detect language is to pass the language as a user attribute via the single sign-on. So yeah, you can use your backend and leverage your login system, or your sign-on, for example, and maybe you already know the language of the user, and you can pass it over inside Zendesk through the single sign-on, and once if you set it up in Zendesk. So this is something a little bit more technical that maybe your IT team would know more about. So it is encouraged that you have a conversation with them and ask if you do know the language of the users, then maybe you can pass it over through this single sign-on. You can do a bulk update on user profiles that are affected, right? So you can bulk import users. We discussed that yesterday, and I showed you how to bulk import inside Zendesk. If you want to see that, if you want to see that, go and visit the other video for people setup. And you can also attribute a language that you think is that should override, for example, what has happened and what has been detected in Zendesk. So you can, in your CSV, one of the columns can be dedicated for language, and then you upload the users with the correct language, and then when they require support, then it's going to be automatically detected as being their preferred language. Assign user language based on organizations via trigger. This is something which I've used, for example, with this big fintech company from Germany. It has like over 300 agent seats, and they classify their requests for each country based on the organization. So Germany has one organization, Austria has another organization, England has its own organization, Italy has its own, Spain has its own organization, France has its own organization, etc. It's active, I think, in 11 countries right now. And yeah, so each time a user reaches out, we know which organization that they are a member of, and we automatically associate it with an email. And from that email, we know that they belong to the organization Germany, for example, and we set the language as German. We do this with triggers, and also we use a target notification to ping the API. A little bit of more complex stuff, but we can do it, and it's very useful. And yeah, it's a very good way to offer support. And then you can have some more information on dynamic content in here. So yeah, you can go ahead and read more information on the Zendesk support website. Okay, and now moving on. Yeah. Oh, okay. So I did not cover this. There's also you'd also have the ability to export dynamic content. So dynamic content, once you've added it inside your Zendesk, you can export it in a CSV. And yeah, I imagine that in most cases it happens that you have someone else in your team that does translations that maybe does not have access to Zendesk. And it's not necessarily just that they don't have access to Zendesk. Rather than exporting a CSV or an Excel file, which you can keep somewhere in a shared document, so Google document somewhere, and your team can go in dynamically and very easily share it with all of your team, from different countries, and they can come in and translate in whatever languages that you support, and then you upload that file directly from the Google Doc. Well, you don't, not necessarily Google Sheets. You download it and then you upload it back in Zendesk, and it's going to update. And you don't have to do the maintenance inside Zendesk. This is recommended, and I'll show you why, because in Zendesk it's a little bit more time consuming, and I'm all about saving time and being more efficient. All right, so let's see. So language and dynamic content. So which languages do you need to support for end users and your customers? Yeah, in this case, this is tailored to each company that that I work with. So in this case, this is I used it for another fintech example, which is based in Berlin, but started out in Estonia. So it's crypto exchange. Anyway, that's not really important, but this is what languages they are supporting. And then for emails, it's going to be local language in English. So whichever email address that the user chooses, then it's going to be reflecting what language is supposed to be used. And then ticket forms, we again offer support, and I'm going to show you how to create a ticket form, and also I'm going to show you how it looks like to have translations in different languages for the ticket forms and ticket fields. And then in the chat widgets as well, we do the same. We offer support in multiple languages. It all depends on who is reaching out and where they are reaching out from. The chat widget, you can restrict it to only show a specific language. So for example, you can on the, let's say, German version of the website, you can by using the web widget, or it depends if you're using the chatbots as well, you can offer the language, you can offer support in, for example, German, and then you have an English version of the website. You can also use the widget or the chatbot or the chat widget. You can use it in multiple languages. Alrighty, so you can also, for example, this is again tailored to this customer, this example where a brand, a company is using more than one brand. It's using 5 brands, and the first brand is Amazing Brand. I I named it like this, like by the same as your amazing company. And you can follow the example. For example, how and what languages are you going to be offering support in? And then, so it's important to note that you can offer support in multiple languages, and your agent experience, you can offer support in multiple languages for your customers or your end users, and you can also improve or have the possibility or the ability to also have your agents show up to work and use Zendesk in whatever language that they are supporting. So for example, if I'm a German agent, I want to see my Zendesk in German because it's easier for me. And I'm going to show you how to do that as well. So in this case, the agent interface is using both German and English. It's not just using English, which is also an improvement of the agent experience as well, because not everyone is proficient in English. And it's also much easier to identify a certain, let's say, certain deep dives into your company's processes in your own language than it is to do in English, because it's not always the same translations. You know that better than I do. Alrighty, so now it's your turn. So it's my turn actually. Again, it's me again. I'm going to hop over into Zendesk and show you how to do language settings. All right, hydration time. So let's go in here. So this is, I'm logged in into my test account, which I'm going to be using. So let me go here in admin. I'm going to scroll all the way down into account. So I have a few tabs here. The one that I'm interested in right now is localization, right? So I have my time zone, I have my time format, and then I have my languages. So this is the default language of my account. And yeah, I can change it to whatever I want. However, this is where I focus on adding additional languages. So in this case, I already have some languages selected, and I have English from United Kingdom, I have German, I have Slovak, and I have Czech, Dutch, English from the United States, French, Italian, Norwegian and Polish, Spanish from Spain. So I have quite a lot of languages because I've been been doing a lot of examples. I also have available, for example, I have German from Switzerland, I have German from Austria, right? So I have different variations of the language, and yeah, this is sometimes useful. And for example, if you see how many I have for English, um, yeah, so this is where you would select, for example, yeah, this is the main German one. Select it, save it, and now this will determine the languages that you will be offering support in. So these are the languages that you will be that will be supported for your customer experience and also for your agent experience. So now what we're going to focus on is dynamic content. So we looked at the language settings on how to activate languages in your system, and now we're going to go to dynamic content. So dynamic content is still in here in admin, and I'm going to scroll to manage here, and it's going to be here, dynamic content, right? Already. So I have a few examples that I have added, but I'm going to add another one. So I'm thinking of adding a ticket field, and this ticket field is going to be, for example, I'm going to be asking for maybe the ticket request, for example, a ticket request type or type of request or type of inquiry, or maybe let's say, yeah, type of inquiry, which I'm going to be asking my users to fill into their form, right? So imagine not my customers, not just my customers, but also my agents, right? So I want the ability to create a form where agents are able to look through a drop down and select what type of inquiry that the user is reaching out with, right? So I want the agent to be able to my agents to be able to access this field in English and in German, because my German agents are going to log into their Zendesk in German, and I want them to see type of inquiry reflecting the same name but in German. So let's go over and create, for example, a dynamic content item. So I'll go ahead and add an item. I have to give it a name first. So let's call this one ticket field. And then I add 2 double colons. So the reason why I'm adding these 2 double colons is because I'm categorizing it. So I am not adding just one ticket field. I'm going to add a few, right? So I'm thinking of adding a type of inquiry. I'm thinking about asking for a user ID. I'm thinking about asking for product type, the product type that the customer has bought. I'm thinking of asking for the address. I'm thinking of adding another field for date, asking like date of purchase maybe. So everything that I think is relevant for me as an agent. Now I'm in the agent's shoes, for an agent to be able to offer support in the most efficient way, right? So the more information I have for the user, the faster I can offer support. All right, I digress. So adding a ticket field, which is, I'm going to call this type of inquiry. Inquiry. I don't know if it's with an E or with an I. I'm not sure. Maybe in American English, the accent which I have, it's American English is with an I, while in British English is with an E. Please don't hate me about that. So right now I have given it its name, so type of inquiry. Now I want to select the default language. So what this means is like I'm going to choose the English from United States as my default language. Why I'm doing that is because these are the languages that I'm offering support in for my agents as well for my customers. So I don't have it in British English, I have it in English from the United States because it ties in with my example from here with inquiry with an I. So what this means is like default language is, for example, if somebody asks for support or is coming from is asking for support in a language which we don't know or we don't support. So if somebody from Greece, for example, is writing to us and we don't have that language enabled, or yeah, so they're asking for support in Greek, then the answer that is going to the language that is going to be shown to them is the default language, which is English. And it's important to maybe consider keeping it in English, because more people speak English than they do, for example, if we were to have um, our default language to Swedish. I'm just giving out an example, right? So if I had my default language Swedish, and if somebody were to write to us from yeah, from Greece, for example, then the default language that we would reply to them would be, for example, or the field that will be displayed to them in a form would be in Swedish, and it would be advisable to maybe keep it in English because people rather speak English than they do Swedish. Um, so yeah, this is just the reality. Type of inquiry. It's no disrespectful, in no way disrespectful for any other language, but yeah. So let's see. Type of inquiry. Let's actually do this with the capital. So type of inquiry. Create. All right. So now I have added my placeholder. I have added my dynamic content field. And what this does is, in return, it creates a placeholder. A placeholder is a functionality from Zendesk which can store information in it, right? So this is what it looks like. It usually has this type of parentheses. It's between these types of parentheses, and it has this format like dc.ticket, and then the name of the field that we've given it, which is this, right? So dc dot ticket underscore, and then there's the name of that we have given it. So um, it's important to keep in mind that this is what we need. This is what contains the translations that we are looking for. So we are going to use this each time we create a field. I'm going to show you how to create a field. No need to worry if you don't understand just yet, but I hope you had your training and you do remember some parts of this. So again, this placeholder functionality from Zendesk, which keeps it inside of it, is the translation, and it's dynamically being shown depending on the language that is selected in Zendesk. All right, so what I want to do is, like, I have my language in United States, I have the content, it's active, and what I want to do is I want to add a variant. Add a variant. So I want to add a variant in German. I'm not very, translate. So type of inquiry in German would be, I don't know. Ich weiß nicht. Okay, Art der Anfrage. Okay, so I go in here, paste this. Art der Anfrage. Okay, so auf Deutsch. Es ist Art der Anfrage. Create. All right. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, cool. So in order to keep yourself organized, it would be advisable to create a spreadsheet. So the reason why I have this wonderful workbook is because I try to keep everything organized into one place in order for you to have, yeah, everything living, yeah, living in a spreadsheet where it would be easiest for you to yeah, to access it. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to copy it. So I'm going to copy the name of it, to go in here, and I'm going to paste the name of it, of inquiry. Then I'm going to have to copy the DC, or dynamic content placeholder, which is this. So copy, go back, paste. Yes, thank you. No, don't install anything, please. Go away. I'm just going to use my mouse, but yeah, I usually use my keyboard. All right, so content is the default language, which is English. So I keep the content, copy it, go back, paste, and then the variant in DE, just move it in here. All right, so let me go ahead and copy the text in German. All right, so I have copied this in here. I have here something else, which is not necessarily something which we need to focus right now on. So I have written, I have added my name of my dynamic content. I have added my dynamic content placeholder. I have added the content in the default language in English, and then I have added it in German as well. So yeah, that's about it with dynamic content and language settings. So now we go back to here, take a small break. All right, we're back. So continuing our recording, and my screen again. Okay, so we are going to be covering right now ticket fields and forms. All right, so ticket fields, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, are the data collection variables in your business. So you can think about these as a way for you to be able to offer support in the fastest manner, right? So what is the minimal information that you need from your customers in order to offer them support in the most efficient way, right? And what is the ideal scenario of information that you need to collect about the user? And then obviously you have to meet somewhere in the middle and yeah, see exactly what you can ask for in order to offer support. So design principles is to consolidate, for example, legacy forms whenever possible. And you can define reusable fields across multiple forms in order to gather general information from the final user. Though this means that in Zendesk, for example, if you have multiple forms, for example, you want to have a form for order requests, and then you want to have a form for billing requests, and then you have, for example, a field in which you, for example, collect type of inquiry that we created earlier. We can use the same field in multiple forms, right? So if the agent has to fill in the form, or the end user has to fill in the form for themselves, um, uh, then you would be able to, for example, have the field type of inquiry, and then use it in two forms. You can use it in the order form, and you can use it in the billing form as well, because there's no need in creating a ticket field which is used to type of inquiry in yeah, the order form, and type of inquiry for the billing form, right? It's just going to be the same information, and you can use it in multiple forms. Determine the mandatory user's information needed to solve the ticket to be used as a foundation to define and design ticket fields. So you also have to keep in mind what is mandatory for your agents to solve tickets, right? So you can also you can ask, for example, of your agents to not be able to solve a ticket unless they they choose, for example, what type of inquiry this was, right? And you can also ask your customers to fill in, to not be able to submit the form, for example, in the guide, unless they choose the type of inquiry that they have, right? This is helpful for many reasons. And to name a few is like your reporting, right? You'll be able to see at the end of the month how many requests you had for different types of tickets, and yeah, I don't want to go into the many reasons why that is important. So reporting is one. Another one is routing, because you can create routing rules, right, to route tickets to the appropriate teams to deal with these requests, right? So for example, if the customer comes from from the German website, the German version of the website, and they filled in the form, and for example, they chose product question or an order question, for example, let's say order question type of inquiry, they chose that, and we know that we can send it directly to the German group to take care of the request, or maybe we can send it directly to Thomas, because Thomas in the German group is responsible for order questions, right? So this is another reason why it's so important to fill in and to decide what fields you need and what are mandatory and what not. Handle another reason, for example, or another legacy advice is to handle complexity with conditional ticket fields. So conditional fields is a functionality that is used on forms from Zendesk, which helps you be able to filter out what fields you want to show to your customers or your agents alike. Because think about, for example, if you have in a form, for example, you can have, let's say 20 ticket fields, which can be overbearing if you think about it. Like an agent would feel maybe an agent would have to fill in whatever is mandatory, but think about if it's customer facing, right? So a form is customer facing and it has 20 fields. It's going to be a little bit overbearing, and maybe it's the customer experience not going to be necessarily all that great. And because the customer is going to be feeling like, yeah, you know what, it's too long, I'm just going to skip it. However, with conditional fields, you can create a logic in which, for example, if the customer requests order query, an order inquiry, then you just need like some specific fields which are related to order. Okay, so purchase date, you need the address, you need for example, for what else you need for order, like product type, what product did you buy from us in this order that you're requesting from us, like, or this order query that you have with us, right? So, and then the rest of the fields which are irrelevant and that are maybe just relevant for some other types of requests of inquiries, then yeah, you just don't display those, you don't show them at all, and then yeah, it's going to be the user is going to be much more bound to fill in all those fields, like let's say the reduced number of fields that you've streamlined for them for orders, for example, and then yeah, that's it. It's they submit the request and everybody's happy. Start with more granular options for system fields to ensure all future needs are addressed. Okay, so the status, for example, granular options for system fields. So it's good to, I'm going to walk you through the system fields available in forms, and which are, some of them are mandatory, some of them are not. And I'm going to walk you through some of the, let's say, ticket fields, system fields from Zendesk, which have a logic behind, and it's very useful. It can be very powerful if you use that logic instead of starting to create everything from scratch. It's good to understand what Zendesk is capable already, because it's a very badass customer support tool, so customer service tool, and it's good to leverage its functionality. Use the on hold status. So by default in Zendesk, tickets have the following statuses. They have new, They have a new when nobody is, we're going to get to that lesson as well, but new when nobody is assigned to the ticket, status open, which requires an action from the agent, status pending when we are waiting for some more information from the customer. We have status on hold, which is not enabled by default. And on hold we use if we need to communicate with third parties. And then we have solved, right? And of course we also have closed, but closed and archived, but that's a different discussion. So we can, for example, activate the on hold feature by default. Not by default, which is not enabled by default, apologies. And then priority, right? So priority by default, the default as can be, for example, reduced to 2 priorities. It can have normal and urgent, but then, yeah, some companies have more complex complex business flows, and you can have four priorities. So you can have a low priority, normal priority, high priority, and urgent, right? So this is also very important to keep in mind. Limit ticket forms to certain brands and use triggers to auto apply forms to tickets. So for example, if you're using multiple brands, that the brands discussion that we've covered a little bit during yesterday's or previous lesson, depends when you're watching it. So that if you're, for example, you can potentially use one ticket form for one brand, because with the conditional fields, you can play around with the ticket fields and hide some of them or display more of them whenever that is necessary. I'm going to show you how to do that in a few minutes. And yeah, so if for example a brand is using a ticket form, then you can use triggers to apply to auto apply forms to the ticket. So if somebody is reaching out from brand A or amazing brand, for example, then they are using a certain email address to reach out to us, and which means that we are able to pick up what brand is being used based on the email address and assign the appropriate form for the agents to take that ticket. Keep data migration mapping in mind. So if you are migrating from another system, you have to keep in mind that you can create a mapping, right? So so if you come from another system, you most likely have a whole logic that you can apply inside Zendesk as well. So yeah, you can keep in mind that that is also possible. For drop-down and checkbox fields, ensure that the teams remember to use unique tag values with a consistent naming convention. So for tags, which we are going to be covering later on as well, you have to keep in mind, for example, because drop-downs add tags to tickets. So this is how they work. If you create a ticket field, a drop-down ticket field, I'm going to show you that too. You are also going to be prompted to add tags to the values. And using the tags, you can create business rules, which is very important also to keep in mind for you. And yeah, so if you want more information about ticket fields and forms, you can read more about them in the Zendesk Support Center. And now moving on, you can create, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, you can create some routing rules based on the ticket fields or for example, type of inquiry, or whichever ticket field is relevant to you. You can create routing rules and also, yeah, this is not relevant to you, but it's just an example of how you can create some routing rules directly from here, so you can derive some logic. So if somebody uses a brand, amazing brand, for example, brand 1, for example, then you can pick up what email address has been used, identify, the brand is identified by the email address, and then you assign a ticket form, and then you, from the ticket form, you can also assign a group to take care of that request. So yeah, it's a matter of how, and yeah, how the logic inside your company is laid out. So let's right now jump into Zendesk and see exactly how to create forms. Create forms and ticket fields. Alrighty. So we have created a dynamic content field, which is amazing. Dynamic content placeholder. And now we're going to be moving on to creating ticket fields. So we are again an admin. We're going to manage and go to ticket fields. And we're going to create a ticket field, which is called the type of inquiry with an I. Let's see if we have it. Okay, I have it. So I'm going to deactivate mine. I can't do it because I have, yeah, I know the reason why. And that's not a problem because we can just create another one. So let's go ahead and add a field. And we first have to give it a name, type of inquiry for demo. Being very slick about it. All right, so let's see. We add a drop down. So wanted to walk you through the types of ticket fields that are available. So you have a drop down, you have a multi-select, so you can choose multiple options. You have a text version as well. You have multi-line, you can have a checkbox, you can have numeric, decimal, date, credit card, and a regex. So in this case, we're going to create a drop down, and we can also give it a description. So for example, our description can be something related to, yeah, give some more information for other admins to come into the system to explain what this is about. So yeah, for example, you change roles and somebody else comes in, or somebody new comes into the team, you'll be able to, yeah, very easily see the description of what each field does. So that's very useful, especially if you're a numerous team. All right, so permissions. So this is going to be agent only, or this is going to be editable for end users, or read only for end users. So I want this field to be editable for end users as well as for agents. So this is the title shown to agents. So the name shown to agents, and I have a title shown to end users. Now, this is the name that is going to be reflected in my, for example, agent interface when I'm looking at the ticket. I'm going to show you what that looks like in a quick second. But this is the name it's going to be having. So imagine if I'm a German user and I log in, I'm going to see this name in English. I don't want that. I want to see it in German. So we have created our dynamic content placeholder, which we copy from here. We go back to our Zendesk and delete this, and then we are going to paste that placeholder. Exactly this one. So this is going to show me the name of type of inquiry in German. So Art der Anfrage, as it was called in German, is going to be displayed. I'm going to show you what that looks like. Title shown to end users, we have to do the same. So we have to delete this, and we have to give it the same, paste the same placeholder. So now moving on, required to solve a ticket for agents? Yes, please, because I want to make sure that agents are going to be mindful and are going to keep in mind, mindful and keep in mind, are going to keep in mind that they are required to solve a ticket and have to tell us which is going to be the type of inquiry. I also want the same for for my end users or my customers to also yeah, select a type of inquiry. Now, I can also add some description shown to end users, which I can add in multiple languages as well. So it can be, I can help the customer with more information on what I want from them, right? So if I have, for example, like a multi-line, or I have a text field and I want to, yeah, ask the user, for example, I want to ask the user for their phone number, right? And I want to say in the description, like, don't worry, we're not going to call you unless you let us know that it is possible for us to call you, right? So you can give some more information and to advise the customer on why you need their information, or yeah, give them some additional information that is going to make their experience a little bit more, um, yeah, a little bit better. All right, so now field values. So in this case, I mentioned that I want it to be a drop down, and I want to have some field values, which these field values are going to be my my drop down options. So I don't have right now some options in English and German, and we're going to do that very quickly. I'm going to pause this video to create two options. I'm going to create order and I'm going to create billing. So I'm going to create two options, and I'm going to stop the video real quick. Okay, so I've added the fields. So I have added them here where we did add the first one. All right, so let's go ahead and add, let's close this out. So the field values, right? So I want to have two, order and billing. So let's copy order. So again, I copy my dynamic content placeholder, paste it here. So this is order, and then I go back and I copy my billing. Okay, now very important to remember is that we have tags. So each time you have a drop down and also multi-language fields selected, you are going to have tags. Also checkboxes are going to be leaving tags. So the reason why they do this is because you can leverage these tags for business rules. So right now, tags in Zendesk are being added based on the name that you give the field values. So for example, if I call this product, right? See, I give it, it automatically creates for me a tag which is called product. But in our case, we only have two, and in this case, as you can see, you have these very ugly coordinates which are standing out for tags and are very dislikable. Don't make the same mistake the countless other companies did, and I did as well myself. Yeah, I made this mistake once, and then I needed to change the ticket fields tag, and it affected a lot of business rules, and I had to redo everything, and it also affected reporting, and then it was a big mess. So very important. This is why actually these lessons are good, because you have to keep in mind that if you don't do this correctly from the very beginning, then you'd have to go back and make changes. Like when you're very advanced with your system and you have like 50 business rules in place, which are dependent on these tags. And if you change them, and then you have to change everything, and it's going to be a nightmare. Don't do that mistake. Don't make that mistake. All right, so this is an order query. So I'm just going to call it order. And then this one is billing. So that's it. It's just easier. Notice that I'm using tags in English. I'm not using them in German. You could use them in German if you so wanted to. So I can also upload a CSV with this, so you can be smart about it and create a CSV to save time for yourself. I just created two drop-down field with two options, but yeah, it's depending on your business. It can be upwards of 100 to 150. It's good because you can you have an auto search field in Zendesk as an agent or in business rules, and you can use that, right, for to just type the name of the field that you want for numerous drop-down options. But in this case, yeah, usually you'd want to have, you don't want to have, for example, you don't want to necessarily have too many options in your drop downs, because it also affects your reporting. You want to have, for example, in this case, I have created only order and billing, but you can also have like multiple order queries, right? So for example, you can have a accordion type display of your options in the dropdown, and you can have the first level can be order, and then order can have multiple options in itself, and then billing can have multiple options itself, right? So as a best practice, what I can tell you is that you can use for better reporting, it's more advisable to use conditional fields. And if an agent chooses, for example, order from the form, then an additional field shows up and says, okay, what type of order field is this? What type of order or option is this? And then you choose some different options from there. The reason why I recommend this, yeah, and I want you to be mindful of this, is because down the line reporting are going to be a lot messier. We're going to have a lesson about reporting as well, but if you do this this way, so for example, this is all down to each business. And how they want their data structured. For larger businesses, and this is me addressing that particular use case, is you can have multiple options for each drop down field. And yeah, the better option is to use conditional fields. And if you have multiple options for order, for example, then and you want to go more granular, it's advisable to create yeah, another field, like what type of uh, order option is it, and then it's going to be easier because you can use that information in reporting much easier. But you can also use this, you can use it in here, and I know it looks messy, but if you add the double colon like this for order, for example, you can add another option for order. And for example, for order, you can add another option, which is, let's say, um, delivery issue. Okay, so let me paste this here again, not call it delivery issue. I'm having a problem with my order, which is to do with payment issue. So you see, order, delivery issue. And my tag in here is ugly as hell. And I'm going to call it order payment issue. Okay. So obviously this needs to be translated as well. I'm not going to do it. It's going to be too much. So I'm just going to create it like this, so you can see what this categorization looks like. It's exactly like I've shown you a bit earlier for dynamic content. So I'm just going to save this. All right, so this has been saved for me. So my type of inquiry has been created. Now let me refresh my screen so I can see it. All right, so type of inquiry, I see it directly in my English translation. So this is going to be this one, because I have created it in, all right, so it's going to be this one. So let's go ahead and create a form to see what that looks like. So I just want only one form here. I'm going to create another one. So this is my form, and I have to obviously give it a name. I have to give it a name with dynamic content in order for it to display in the German version of the form name, but I'm not going to do that now. This is going to be called amazing form. Yes, I want it to be editable for end users. Title shown to end users as well. You have to translate it with dynamic content if you want it to be displayed. And apply to all brands. Yes, thank you. Let's call it this amazing form. All right, so now by default, I have a subject and I have description. So a subject, system field, description is a system field. And these are all my available ticket fields that I can just very easily with the plus sign, just add to my form. I'm going to look for type of inquiry. All right, so I have a few, and I think that this is the one with the capital I. Okay, thank you. I have added this one. And what else do I want to add? I want to add in this one priority, because I'm going to need priority as well. And I'm going to add type as well, because I want to walk you through what that means. Okay, so I have added some fields for myself. I can drag and drop it and give it and put it in the order that I want. And type of inquiry, I'm going to put at the very top because I think it's the most important. You can definitely create as many ticket fields as you want. I'm just adding these, and it's up to you to create the other ones because you have to get used to Zendesk as well. Right, amazing form. So this one is my default form. And this means that if I create a ticket and no form is chosen, then this one is going to be appearing, right? So, or also like whenever somebody reaches out, be it email, be it whatever, whatever inquiry that they have, whatever channel that they use, so be it email, be it forms, be it API, chat, etc. By default, the default form shows up if nothing else is chosen. Obviously, as we've discussed in the presentation in the slide deck, you can link a form with business rules to a brand, right? So if a brand is applied, a certain brand, then automatically tie that a certain form to it, right? So I'm going to you can obviously play with the order of these as well. So what I want to do is I want to show you what this looks like. So I'm going to create a ticket. Okay, so let's see. So what I want to do now is, because I have not refreshed, I cannot see the form option in here. So let me refresh. I only have all the default forms showing up because I have not refreshed and the system doesn't know that I have multiple forms. So this is my brand. Let's choose this one because I like this one the most. Let me move my face. All right. So this is my brand. This is what the ticket looks like. So requester. First, I have to choose on the left-hand side, right? I have to select the brand. In this case, I'm using Dominic CX. I have to give a requester, which let's use my Gmail, which is this. Create a test ticket, right? Automatically it appear here. I have to give it a subject. Who's going to be the assignee? Nobody for now. Followers, if I want to have followers. Followers are members of my team who they act as a CC, but just in order for me to differentiate between CCs and followers, CCs, I can CC someone external, but a follower is somebody from my team that is going to be able to follow the ticket and see the updates. Now, form, I need to check the form, and this is by default, as you see, right? Nothing was selected, no form was selected, and super duper ticket form is selected, which was the default. And I can just change it to my amazing form. And here we go. I can see the ticket fields that are relevant that I have just created. So I can add tags to it. This is available by default because I have enabled tags in my system. We're going to go over ticket settings in a little bit, in a little bit, which is most likely going to be in the next lesson. And I can add a tag. So let's add a tag. I want to add this tag as Dominic customer experience, right? So now I have customer type of inquiry, right? And so the type of inquiry is the ticket, the custom field that I have added against my ticket. So this is I've added in my form, and I have added just two options, right? Order and billing. Remember, I told you about having a cascading dropdown or having a multiple levels for your dropdown options. So this is that reflecting that. So if you see the arrow to the right, this is reflecting of the additional options that I have for order. So if I go to the right, remember I have created delivery issue and payment issue. I go back, I have order and I have billing. So if I choose, for example, billing, and then if I choose billing, and whenever I save the ticket, it's going to be adding a tag, which is billing. Remember, we added the tag billing and we edited nicely. So right now, let's talk about ticket priority, because this is also a system field. This is a system field, and ticket type is also a system field. So priority, this is very relevant for to create service level agreements, and you can also create business rules based on the priority. And yeah, this is going to influence however your business business processes, your use cases, your customer service processes are working, right? So this is something for you to determine. For example, if it's a billing request, billing matter, maybe you want to have a higher priority, and you can create a business rule saying like if the priority is has been changed to high and the type of inquiry is billing, then send a notification to management, because management is meant to deal with these kinds of requests. Yeah, so low, normal, urgent priority, right? And then I have a ticket type. This is very useful to be used because it has some built-in functionality that Zendesk has created, and this is to help you out. And I'm going to walk you through these examples. So ticket type question is meant to be used for product inquiries, like general inquiries. I have a question about your product. I have a question about your company. Who's your company, etc. So there is, it's just like a general information request. So this can be used, for example, if you're just starting out with Zendesk, you're a smaller company, you don't necessarily know what your customers are going to be reaching out with. Also, it's not very nice to not know or to try to anticipate. You can use that. And you can also, of course, leverage it in business rules. Then incident. This is incident and problem. This is a ticket field which is meant to be used for example, bugs. Like your product, you're selling a monthly subscription to your software, and you have a downtime, for example, for 2 hours from 2 to 4 p.m. and multiple people are writing to you about the same issue, saying, "Hey, the system is down. What's going on?" Right? And then that's an incident ticket. So your agents can pick up these types of requests and then categorize them all as a type incident. And let's say you have 10 people reaching out with the same issue. Hey, is the system down? Is something wrong? Is it going to go back up? So you flag them as all as being incident. And then what you can do is you can create a problem ticket, which is the master. It's a master approach. And the master ticket can be responsible for multiple incident tickets. So you can link it to the problem. You can link the incident tickets to a problem ticket, and then the problem ticket can be updated once, and all of the other incident tickets can be updated with the same information. And for example, you don't necessarily have to write in 10 individual emails and go and say, hey, it's back up, the system is back up again, all is well, no need to worry, and then solve each ticket individually. No, you can just do that from the problem ticket. Um, um, update the problem ticket, and then all incident tickets will be updated in the same way. And yeah, of course, everything that you change in the problem tickets, like all the data, all the information that you add in the ticket, or the properties that you change in the ticket fields, is going to be reflected in all of the incident tickets. And then there is the task, the type ticket task, which is meant to be used for whenever your agents need to perform a task. So if I choose ticket type task, and then I can choose a due date. Okay, so when is this due? I need to finish this by the end of next week. And yeah, that's it. I know that I am going to be able, I know that I need to, I have in my backlog a ticket type task that I need to solve until December 10th. And what the great thing about it is that you can create an automation, a business rule then. So with this automation, you can very easily go in and let's say on the date of the due date, let's say December 10th, you can create a notification letting the agent know, like, hey, dear agent, this ticket is due and it's due today, so please do something about it, and maybe, yeah, perform the task or finish it and solve the ticket. Obviously, you can create a notification previous, like 2 days before the due date, and say, hey, agent, dear agent, this ticket is due to be solved, and yeah, you have 2 more days to solve it. So yeah, you can use this logic for as much as you, yeah, for any yeah type of situation where you need to have something resolved. So then here you also have a subject. So you give the ticket a subject. Okay, and yeah, paste in the information here. Just give it a description. So this is the description. Hi there. This is the description. Best. Dominic. All right. So yeah, just submit this as new. And this is my ticket now. It has a subject line, it has a description, it has a requester, which is me, but with a different email address. It doesn't have an assignee, as you can see, it's in status new. So as I have mentioned, then submit as new. So these are my statuses in Zendesk. And as you maybe know from your training, or if not, status new, it means that it doesn't have an assignee. Open, it means that the customer has gotten back to us and we need to reply to them. Pending is when we're waiting for more information from the customer. We use this when we reach out to the customer asking for more information to help them solve the request. Then on hold is status that we use to reach out to third parties, or to reach out to a colleague in our team, or to a manager, or whoever in our team. We're asking for more information on how to solve the ticket. On hold, then on hold also, it also implies that the customer is still waiting for a reply from us. So it's important to keep in mind that this will affect the SLAs as well. It's a future lesson. I'm just sliding it in there because there's going to be a very long discussion on that as well. And solve. So when the ticket is solved, it's out of sight, out of mind. We have gotten rid of it, and yeah, we don't need to. It's not that we don't need to worry, but yeah, it's as if it's out of our um, spectrum. So we don't need to worry about it. And our job as a customer service team is to solve tickets, right? So we have to strive for solving tickets like all the time. All right, so pending, just need to add a little bit more information. So new, open, and on hold are going to be reflected in SLAs, and these do not pause the SLA. So the SLAs is running whenever we have these, with some exceptions, whenever we have these statuses. On pending, SLAs always pause, because again, we're using this as a way to ask for more information from the customer. So when it's on pending, everything as from the service level agreement perspective stops. That's all I have to say right now about that, because that's a future lesson, which is going to be going to take a while in itself. It's going to be covered in business rules. All right, so now let me walk you through a little bit from in the ticket interface, so you can see a little bit to what's being discussed here. So let me go over to this user and maybe change their organization to this one, German organization. Okay, so I am right now in my ticket, right? And my requester is Dominic Brasovano, which is me with another email. And this is the organization that the user is a member of. So as an agent, I can very easily slide through these, and I can go in and I can see information about the customer, right? So I can have more information about them. I can see some additional user fields that we've created previously. I can go over to the organization. I can see, for example, what tags this, whoops, delete this. For now, I can see more information about the organization. I can have, I can see the organizational fields. And okay, so another thing is the side conversations. So side conversations is a way for agents to use the system to help them with solving the ticket. And as the name suggests, it's a way for agents to create, to have a conversation on the side of the ticket to help them solve the request. So side conversation can be used with email, with Slack, or you can create a child ticket. So the most frequently used one is with email, which is going to be an email on the side of the ticket that is going to go back and forth with the agent and whoever is being reached out to. And it's back and forth until the agent has the information needed to get back to the customer. So it looks something like this. So it's a pop-up, and I can add an additional ask for more information from this guy, for example, just like a regular email. Hi, I need more info. Hi, blah, blah. Send it, and that's it. I can, of course, delete it, have some markdown, attachments, links, and insert ticket comments, which is very, very useful. So I can choose what ticket comments I want, add, boom, add it in here, and I just send it. And now it's going to be added as an internal note. So this is an internal note. Okay, so moving on a little bit lower here, I can, this is me replying as public. So these are my available options. So I can call the user, I can put in a public reply or an internal note. An internal note is a way for me as an agent to ask for more information for the client. And also maybe leave notes for whoever I will escalate this to. All right, so I can change this to just new again. I'm not changing the status. So now, because I have chosen billing, as you can see, the tag billing has been added here. And if you remember, I have added a task by a tag by hand, and I have also added CX. Now, test and VIP, where does this come from? It comes from the organization. So as I've saved my ticket and I have created it, it carries over the tags from the organization and whatever tags that I add by hand as an agent. And of course, what comes from dropdowns, multi-line, etc. So what I want to do now is I want to show you what this looks like in German, because I've been showing you a lot of things, but I have not shown you how this looks like in German. So this is my field for which I have added translation. So type of inquiry has translation, order has translation, billing has translation. However, this one doesn't have translations. I just added it in English just to make things go smoother and faster. All right, so I go to my profile and I'm going to change my language to German. German, Deutsch. All right, so nothing happened. I just need to refresh. So my story is that I have lived in Berlin, Germany for quite some time, and when the pandemic hit, I was visiting family in Romania because I am Romanian myself, and trying to contain the beast. I stayed put ever since. So that's why my time zone is now Romanian. I don't know if I'm going to go back to live in Berlin right now. I still want to everything to calm down. I don't necessarily. It's not a very good time to travel. All right. So I have changed my interface to German, as you can see, right? So Konversationen, neues Ticket, Benutzertyp, like user type, etc., Gruppen, group. So whatever is relevant for this agent, this is me. And if I, for example, go back to my ticket. All right. So this is my ticket that I have created earlier, right? So you notice everything is in German here, like all the names of the fields. So these are the tags, right? So which still remain. So you see this one, it's Art der Anfrage, and you can see this, what do you call it? The asterisk is present, which means that I have to choose. It's mandatory for me to choose an option. So I have my two options that I have added translations with dynamic content. So Befehl und Abrechnung, right? So I have my translations for it. If I go into this one, I'm going to see these in English because I was lazy and I didn't add the translations, but you are going to be awesome and you are going to be adding these yourself. And I have been adding these things a lot of my career, and now I want you to do that. Of course I can do it for you, but obviously I need time, more time. I'd rather show you how to do it and then you do it. But if you want me to do it, of course I can do it. But of course it requires more effort from my end, so it's more hours. Alrighty, so yeah, this is what it looks like in German. So yeah, it's in English because I didn't add translations. Obviously, the system fields are going to be translated because Zendesk knows. It already knows the translations. So what's left for me to show you here is conditional fields. And after I show you conditional fields, I am going to stop the video right now. I'm going to stop the video because there's going to be, we're halfway there. And as I mentioned, it requires 2 sessions, and there's also a lot of Q&A during these sessions. I always pause and stop and ask like, is everything clear? Do you need more information? Yeah, let's try it out. So what example do you have? So that's why I am going to show you one more thing, which is conditional fields. And then we are going to stop the video, the lesson for today, and continue tomorrow. So conditional fields, like as you remember, or not, doesn't matter. I'm going to talk about it again. Conditional fields is a way for you to show the appropriate fields that are necessary for your users, right? So it is advisable to use to reuse ticket fields in more forms, and sometimes, for example, if you use for a brand, you use one form, and then for another brand you use another form. So each brand has its own form. You have different type of requests or type of inquiries that require you to. Let me stop this for a bit. So you have different types of inquiries that require some fields which are only relevant to that type of inquiry, right? So for order inquiries, you only need, let's say, address. What was the address where you wanted this delivered? And in that case, then you don't necessarily need to show them the rest of the fields. I'm just giving out a very simplistic example, and I hope it makes sense. So let's go ahead and, for example, for order queries, let's add a address ticket field, and that address ticket field, we have to add it to the form, right? So we add a number of ticket fields to the form, but for order queries, we just want to show an additional field, which is going to be address, and the rest, we just need them to be hidden. All right, so let's do that. Share my screen again. All right, so go back to admin. Let me change my language real quick, back to English, so that I don't stumble into translation. Sprache, English. All right, refresh. All right, so now it's back to English. So let's go to admin and then manage, and we go to ticket forms. All right, so first thing we have to do is we have to add an address field, right? Which we said is relevant for the order queries. So let's see, address. We don't have it. So that means that we have to add the ticket field name address. Add, and this is going to be a text field. Let's just give it the name address. It's going to be editable for end users. I'm going to show you what the end user experience looks like as well. I have created other videos for this, but doesn't matter. We'll cover it because we want to have a full experience. Okay, we're just going to do this one in English. Don't hate me. I'm not going to add the translation right now. The most important thing is for me to show you how to do it, and then you can do it yourself. And with, we're already showing you how to add dynamic content translation, so you can do that yourself. No, I don't want this to be required because I only need it for order queries, right? So if I add it to my form, I just need it for that purpose, and so I don't want it to be mandatory for other types of inquiries. So I have added my field, so now I need to go to the form and add it to the form. So my amazing form. Let's look for it here, address. Boom, nice one. All right, so now let's add with nothing else. This is fine. Address, save. All right, so in order to access the conditional fields, so we hover over the amazing form that we created, and we have these three dots at the very right. And then we have conditions, clone, make default, or deactivate, right? So clone, we just make a copy of it with everything that it contains. Make it default, so whenever no form is selected, it will default to the one that we make the default. Then deactivation obviously just puts it in here in inactive. So we go to conditions, right? So it now asks me, like, do you want conditions for agents or do you want conditions for end users? Well, I want for both. I'm going to create this condition for both. So let's do it. So for agents, and now I just have to start and add a condition. My mouse isn't working. One sec. I'm moving it from my trackpad. Here we go, back to my mouse. Add condition. All right, so this works as with an if then, not very complicated. Let me hide this. Okay, so new conditions for agents. So when filling out this field, and I'm going to say for type of inquiry, if the value is in type of inquiry order, then show this field, show the field address. Now it asks me, like, when is this going to be required? I am going to ask that whenever the ticket is solved, I want my agent to put in the address of the user. So if it's a delivery issue, then I want the agent to make this ticket field required. So this overrides any of the conditions that I've added when adding the field. So conditional fields are badass. They override everything. So yeah, this is what I'm going to do. So delivery issue, right? I have order delivery issue, but I have another order type. I have a payment issue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this, add another, add. Now it added it for me. So again, for type of inquiry, if value is payment issue, then show me address again and make it required when solving the ticket. I don't want to add another. I just want to add. So now I just want to save it. That's it. Nice, right? Okay, so now I want to do the same, add the same condition for end user. So very easy. I have created it for the agent. I can just copy agent conditions, and it copied it. If these are my values, I can go ahead and edit them. I can duplicate them, or I can delete them, or I can clear all, but I don't want to do that because I've been working hard on these. Save. All right, very nice. So now let's go and see what this looks like, but not before we refresh our screen so everything takes effect, because whatever we do doesn't take effect unless we refresh our screen. Alrighty, so let's go back to here. Aha, here's our ticket that we created earlier, right? So right now it's billing. So billing, right? So I want to change it to order delivery issue. Uh-oh, what is this one? See, I have an additional field here, which was not present before. So delivery issue, payment issue, it's here. Very cool. Back, choose billing, up, not anymore. It disappeared, right? So I hope this is starting to make sense on how this works. What I need to show you is I need to show you the end user experience. And I also would like to, I swear this mouse is going to, mouse is not working very well. I don't know why I have a magic mouse. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay, so this is my ticket. I have it in here. It's amazing. It's very cool. This is the agent interface. I love it. So what I need to do is I need to go to the guide so I can show you the end user experience. And with that, I promise I will leave you alone and not bother you. So I am now, because I transferred to my guide, I am logged in as an administrator, so I am not able to see the submit request form. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. I'm going to open an incognito window or a private window, private browsing, paste the link, go to it. And then I have submit request. And then choose an issue, right? Because I have two forms. Amazing form. Here we go. So this is what what my form looks like, and I do advise you to use forms from Zendesk on the guide because it's such a great experience for the customers, because you ask them to categorize their own requests. You can create business rules based on that, so routing rules, and it's amazing. And it just takes them maybe like a bit more information, a bit more time to fill in a form, but the time it takes for them to fill out the form, it helps you solve the request faster. So it's a win-win. All right, let me add this in. So my email address, type of inquiry. So I only have two options, right? Billing and order. So order, I have delivery issue. Here we go. The address, right? Nice. Subject, I have an issue with my order. And this is also suggested articles from guide, which autofills, which shows you search results based on what you type, which is an amazing feature from Zendesk. And we're not going to cover it right now, and we're going to cover it in the guide lesson. So let's add a issue with my order. Obviously, I can format it. Priority, normal. I don't advise that you make this available for your end users. Why? Because they tend to abuse it, because everything is urgent in their view, and everyone, as being a spoiled toddler, they want attention then and there, right now, all of it. Give me all of the attention, shower me with attention. No, don't do that. So it's active right now because I forgot, but that's okay, because we can just so Hassan Heide Sieben, Berlin, Germany. This is where I used to live. Oh shit, never mind. Okay, so what happens if I try to submit my ticket? Ah, remember we made this mandatory. So let's add it. Then Heide, Sieben, Berlin, Germany. There's an amazing Vietnamese place that somewhere close to the stairs. It's amazing. If you go there, go to the Vietnamese Hami, it's called. All right, so I submit the ticket. Thank you, your requests were successfully submitted. Very nice. Just going to very quickly go back into the system. Let's go. Let's see. So this is a staff member. I'm going to go and click this end user, this requester. Okay. Unassigned tickets. We're going to find it in here. Anyway, that's not important right now. I just wanted to show you what the form looks like. So hopefully, I'm going to stop that here. So about ticketing and collecting data and what that looks like inside Zendesk. Hopefully that was useful so far. Whew, long lesson, you made it, breathe. And I'll see you in the next lesson. So bye.